pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You've all got a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any additions or corrections?
Mr. President, I move to accept the amendments as presented.
Been moved and second to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Department head reports. Mr. Heaven.
Good morning.
Morning.
We've been pretty busy putting cans in. We put 4 in the last 2 weeks, and we've been trying to patch the roads, getting them ready for chip sealing, trimming some trees. We had to go out this morning. We had a tree down over in Wellsview, and we had to go out early and get it this morning so the road would be open. We've been pretty busy just trying to keep up. I told Barton, I called you, what was it, last week, Friday? Our loader went down, and we had to take it back to Southeastern, so we had to rent a loader to replace it till we can get it back. And hopefully it'll only be a week or so, because it's not real cheap renting a loader.
How much talk about?
$1,400 a week.
You're right, it's not cheap.
But it's,
Something you gotta have.
they sound like they knew what was the matter with it, but they didn't want to send the part down to us, because if they sent it to us and it was electronic, and then they wouldn't take it back if it wasn't it. So it's easier just let them do it.
So they won't have it up there long, we don't think.
Hopefully, by next week we'll have it back.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. You was mentioning to me about the highway garage you got.
The north wall that goes between the pole barn and the garage has settled, so we're had to rework the door to get it to close and lock, because the posts have settled down and it's not letting it shut good. And it's an outside wall that we secure the building with, so just to let you know it is settling down. The whole building is doing it, but
That building's continued to be a problem, and we've had people down there and tells us it's not even safe to be in. I think it's time we build a new garage. We do have some money in CUNY-CAP. I've done some preliminary work on talking to vendors of what it might cost. If the other two agree, I'd like to pursue, see what a new garage would cost and what we have to do to get one put up.
Can Jerry do the plans for that kind of thing?
No, you gotta be a registered architect.
Registered architect.
Registered architect.
I'll move unless you proceed. Second.
Been moved and seconded, we proceed with getting information on building a new garage. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll try and have something by the next meeting of what we need to do to proceed. Okay? That all you got, Jay?
that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Mr. Gobin?
First of all, I want to give you a book. This is a book of the recent bridge inspection, and this has all the bridges in it and all the updated information on it. And it's just for your use, okay? So if somebody calls you, you can look it up.
I'll tell them to call you.
That's all right, that's all right. But at least you'll have a book anyway. All right, that's from the recent bridge inspection. Next, I've got a change order. The original plans on Bridge 82, we did not have any striping on there, and the more I look at that, the more I thought we ought to have some striping, especially on Alquina Road, because even though that pavement width is 2 feet wider than what the original road was, it doesn't look that way. So, and then where I'm going to put a gravel berm along the side, of a 2-foot gravel berm, because it's just a dirt berm right now, which is what normal bridges on county roads are. But the bypass, we went back and put a gravel berm on it, and it works a lot better with that gravel berm than it does a dirt berm. So that's what this change order is about. And it's it's $16,227.80 is what it is. $16,227.80. And then there's a signature page. Now it only has, I don't know why they do that. They only have 2 lines for signatures, but I want all 3 of you to sign it. So just put your put your signature down at the bottom someplace.
I mean, you want me to sign it without a line?
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So I do need a motion on that, by the way.
Right. What's the commissioner's pleasure on approving this addition?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved to set and seconded to approve the additional for Bridge 82. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Then the third thing that I have is on Bridge 81, which is the bridge up by Shelton's Plat. I've got
One we just completed last year.
Yes, and this is the acceptance letter. They've gone through everything, and they're ready for you guys to sign off on it so we can get the final audit done. We can't do the final audit until you guys accept the bridge. So
Okay.
that's what this piece of paper is for right here.
We haven't approved that before, the final approval?
Well, you guys have been out there and looked at it, and but this is the actual paperwork that needs to be signed.
But we need
That's
another
from the
motion for
state.
this, right?
Yes, we need a motion for that, right.
All right.
And they're just placed out
I
there.
entertain a motion to the final acceptance on the bridge out by Shelton's Plat.
Bridge 81.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the Bridge 81 on final completion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks. You're welcome. I'll make copies and bring these back to you.
That's good.
That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you,
Jerry.
Maintenance, Bill Gray.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I've got one thing, and it's a bad one. A leak has started with the equipment up on the top floor. Melinda called me last week, and I had a small leak in the ceiling. I went up and checked everything out. I figured it was coming from the roof somewhere. We hadn't had a whole lot of rain. So I called Trumbull's, they come over and took a look. They found a couple of holes in our rubber roof, but that's on the other side. That didn't have anything to do with it. So yesterday she called me and said, well, it's leaking again. Well, it wasn't raining, so I came over. The vent pipes, or not the vent pipes, but the exhaust pipes for the boilers across this ceiling. I'm talking the top floor above this room. They go across this ceiling and then go out. And what it's doing is condensating, and the joints in those galvanized pipes are leaking. This is gonna be a mess. We're gonna have to build scaffolding inside the room to get
What
to
are we
it.
gonna have to do to fix it?
We'll have to get up in there and take it apart. And what it is heat treated silicone that they put around those. Over the years, that's evidently broke down. It shouldn't have. I mean, this
Well,
is
it's been that
something
many
that,
years, man.
this
It's
is
not
something
that
that,
old.
yeah, this was in '04. This is something that you can't foresee, and this is something I talked to them about when they put this thing together, about putting the equipment on the roof. Or putting all the boilers and everything in the attic.
Right.
It was a bad idea. Well, now we're finding it out. So it's rent the ceiling in the records office, or in the jury pool room, which clerk keeps all the records. I mean, it hasn't heard any record or anything yet, but I've got it stopped. I switched over to the other boiler. But we got two boilers sitting there, and they're both vented out the same way. I just don't know. I don't know. I'd like for you guys after the meeting, we'll go up there and I'll show you what's going on.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. But it's just, getting to it's gonna be a big deal.
You getting access to it?
There's no access. I can look,
Because you gotta crawl
there's
through
an
a little
access.
door about this big?
Yeah, there's an access door at the very top, and I can look down. That's how I found it. She called me yesterday and said it was leaking and dripping in, and I came over and went up and opened the access door, and then I saw it right away.
So this was part of the stuff that was done during
This
the
is-
new addition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the new equipment that they put up on the roof. And up on the top floor, which is all the boilers, all the hot water heaters, all the air handlers, all the chillers, everything's up there. I mean, everything that could leak is up there, which should have been in the basement.
So probably while we're doing this, we need to do the other at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. We got two boilers sitting there and they both vent out the same way. So if we're up there, you know, why not do them both? Because if you do one and then you take all the scaffolding down, a week later, the next one starts. And I talked to Kevin yesterday and he said it's probably, they put those together with heat treated silicone and it's probably over the years just wore out. But
Well, is there
Won't last
any, is
too
there
long,
anything to do that will last longer than the?
that's what I'm saying. It was a
The
bad
9
idea to
years?
put it up there, but I don't know. I'll talk to him. I mean, it's,
It's worn out after 9 years.
Right.
yeah.
Should have lasted 40, no longer.
Did he give you a general ballpark figure what he thought it might cost?
No. We don't know yet. Until we actually get the ceiling out, get the scaffolding up there so we can see what we're looking at.
You have to take the framing down for the ceiling too.
Yeah, we just take the tiles out, take some of the grid down, where we can get scaffolding up in there. Because it's way up there. Like I said, after the meeting, I'd like for you guys to go up.
So the
Okay.
company that did this is long gone, or?
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to have the bad news, but, and like I said, that's mild stuff, because if we ever have a major leak up there, it's gonna take out a lot of
So
ceiling.
what do you want to take it apart where you can see what it is and then get quotes on fixing it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right now, we're okay. Everything's stopped. I switched over to the other boiler. We gotta have at least one running.
Right.
So I switched over to the other boiler. We'll keep an eye on it, but there's no leaks right now.
We'll go.
Yeah, and this is something that we don't have, we don't have to jump on it right away, but
Do we,
get some prices and see where we're at. What I'll do is I'll try to get the scaffolding. I'll talk to a couple people in town I know have them and see
Okay.
if I can get the scaffolding. We'll put the scaffolding up. We'll do all that stuff and then keep the cost down as much as we can.
But that's a shame having to redo this stuff every
Yeah,
time.
and like I said, it's a seam in a vent pipe. The vent pipe is probably, I don't know, they're 20-inch round, maybe. They're not small ones, they're big ones.
Right.
And they're side by side, and they come all the way across this room. Actually, this room is above this room, right, directly above it. So if we don't get it stopped, it's gonna be down here.
Right. Well, you can't have it coming down those records she's got up there.
And that's what I'm saying, it's right over. So, but nothing got hurt, we got it stopped, so,
Okay.
but you'll see it when you get up there.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That's enough.
Yeah, you're right, that's enough. I'll get with you after the meeting, and we'll go up there and take a look at that.
That'll be fine.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
IT Director, Ben?
Morning.
Morning.
At the last meeting, gentlemen approved purchasing 4 scanner copiers from Ricoh Corporation. Last night, I received an email from Mr. Mark Ellis, who is our Ricoh rep, explaining a discrepancy in the pricing they gave us opposed to the state contract pricing that has already been negotiated with the state of Indiana. What it boiled down to was he said there was an internal error in their software management system as they were migrating to a new system that brought the price in $250 lower than the actual state contract price. So he's in a position where he can't honor the pricing that he gave us because it was already negotiated with the state of Indiana. And long story short, it's a $250 difference per unit. So that puts the price just below $2,600. That price is still below the price that we had from the other bidders, and the maintenance per page cost is still a ½ cent lower than everybody else. So in the long run, although I'm disappointed that he can't honor the price that he originally gave us, at the end of the day, it's still going to be cheaper going with Ricoh.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that's where we're at, but I wanted to bring it before you and get your feelings and let you guys decide how you want to proceed.
Well, I guess, being it is the cheapest way in the long run out, we need to go ahead and get them, but we need to make the man understand that the next time it'll be a signed contract, and if he made a mistake, then it's on him.
Sure.
and you think this is just an error? I think you said they were switching computer systems.
Right, they are doing I guess all of Ricoh is moving to a different software program, and it looks like it was just user error inputting that purchase price in the system. So He didn't give any more information beyond that. I believe it is a legitimate error. Everything else that we've dealt with him before getting this pricing, it seemed above board. Ricoh's a national company. I don't have any reason to think they're trying to just milk us for a little more
Are
money.
they going to give you new contracts or write up a new contract with a change in price?
Right. So I'm clear, we didn't have
Oh, okay.
they did not have a contract, they had a proposal.
Right.
And it's the proposal that had the wrong price, and the proposal is what I had in front of you. The new price is $25.86 and change per unit, which is $250 more per unit. It's when he was going to write up the contracts and send it to us where he found the error, so.
I'll move to approve the additional $1,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the additional $1,000, $250 per unit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Unless you guys have questions, that's all I had for you today.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Your summer intern?
Oh, thank you, Frank. Last year, we used a summer intern. Worked out very well for us, no cost to us. We had a gentleman who was working on his 4-year degree through Ivy Tech. We would like to pursue that again. Would like to have your permission to do that. We would look for somebody that at least has a high school degree and is pursuing a profession in the IT industry. Again, we would look to be a free position, but I would like your thoughts on that.
That'd be great. You know, it's a help to us and a help to them and no cost to us, so I don't see why not to do it.
In other words, you don't want someone with my lack of qualifications.
I'm
We want to help instead of a hindrance.
I'm more than happy to give the experience and to share my knowledge. What I don't want is somebody that is completely green and where I'm having to focus all my efforts on training them. So some background would be preferable.
I think it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Advertising, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. County Attorney, Mr. Bryson.
I have two things. The health department submitted a contract with a service provider at the last meeting that will allow them to take payments. I don't know, is the health department represented here today?
Don't see
No.
anybody.
Okay, it'll allow them to take credit card payments, debit card payments. This contract was submitted. You guys moved to approve the contract and sign the contract, subject to me having reviewed it. I reviewed it, the contract, it's fine. I did notice it's for a 5-year commitment, but both sides can opt out of it with 30 days notice, so
Okay.
know that it's not for a short stay, it's for 5 years, so, okay. The second part was, we have heard the end of the executive session. The Public Access Council did issue an advisory opinion. The opinion was not, I would say, totally positive for the county commissioners or county council, but I believe that, and this was his opinion, that several topics reached during that session violated the Indiana's open door law and did not fall under the protection of the executive session statute. But and I know Mr. Hanson, he's sitting here today. He's the one who filed that. So perhaps maybe this brings an end to it. But I want to add, I thought the Public Access Council did a good job. He did a fair job, a measured job. Based on mine and City Attorney John Baker's replies. Again, it's a non-binding opinion, and I'm sure the county commissioners and the council, and especially myself, will consider the council's opinion in the future when conducting executive sessions and when determining whether or not to hold an executive session or make sure it's open to the public. I think that's the only thing I had to say about that. So,
Okay. Anything else?
that's all I got.
Okay.
All right.
Mail, Debbie, we got any mail?
We had, here. This is from
That's good, right?
IDAM that you just got, I think, just in the last couple of days.
All right. This is a letter from IDM concerning Mr. Pumphrey's proposal to put a new CAFO in up in the Bentonville area. They did approve his application. Is that all the mail we have?
Yeah.
Okay. Old business, none. New business, Henry County REMC. Is that gentleman here?
Yeah, I'm here. I had contacted the county about rebuilding County Road 700 North, Bentonville, from 625 west to 450 west, and they said it was no problem in the same footprint. However, I am going to build from 450 west back to the old Bentonville elevator, three-phase, so we won't take that three-phase to town. We're actually going to feed town from 450 west, which will improve reliability for the town, better voltage, is closer to the sub. That requires me about 2,000 feet on 700 that does not have power lines on it now, to put power lines on it, and they thought that I should ask you guys permission to do so. The rebuilding in the same footprint, they said wasn't a problem, but since I was adding poles, I have contacted Mr. Redelman and Mr. Flum and got permission from them. I'll be on their property. Everything I'm building is at least 10 foot off the edge of the road.
Okay.
So all I need is just, I guess, your permission to go ahead and proceed. I'll be adding about 2,000 feet of lines where there's not lines at now on County Road 700 North.
Okay. I would think we should give the permission because the landowners have given theirs.
I would make one recommendation. Contact the director for 911, let them know when you're going to start working, just as a matter of, so they can inform emergency services in case
Okay.
you got the road blocked or something, and the same for the sheriff's department.
Yeah, we won't block the road. We'll block one lane, and we do traffic control cones and signs.
Okay.
But maybe when we lay some wires across the road for maybe a half hour, it'd be the most the road would ever be blocked.
That's when it'll happen.
Yeah.
That's when it happens.
Yeah, and you say who in emergency services or just
The sheriff and director of 911. Her name is Terry Bennett. You can get her at 825-2111.
2111?
Yes. If she's not there, you can leave a message within the dispatchers, just give them the time and et cetera. Okay? You need a motion, Mr. President?
Well, wouldn't hurt.
Motion to approve the work on 700 North as shown as proposed.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to allow the RMC to put the lines on 700 North. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
Covered Bridge, Mike Bartley.
Take one past Dave.
Hello, I'm here to request money to repair and paint the covered bridge in the park from the Covered Bridge Fund. The Park Department will replace any boards that need to be replaced. And I received 3 bids to pressure wash the bridge, scraping loose paint, and put 2 coats of paint on the sides and also repaint the roof. I have the 3 original bids with me, but one's from Dunsel's Home Improvement, $4,800, David Isaacs, $3,100, and Don Burley, $3,000. I'd like to recommend David Isaacs. He does have the proper insurance, plus he's willing to work with my guys to get the boards replaced and also get it done by Bicentennial Week. Labor, so labor of the paint, labor to paint is $3,100. The replacement of the boards, right now we estimate about 500 feet of boards, which is $550. And the paint is going to run around $900 for a total of $4,589 to repair that covered bridge. I think the last time I requested money from you guys was probably 7-8 years ago. Needs to be done. The city is installing a couple cameras in the covered bridge and replacing the lights for the cameras would work properly. So that's what I'm here today for.
So the cameras are for vandalism or just watching the bridge?
Yes, the kids like to kick the boards out.
Was it last year that the Boy Scout was let?
They did it earlier in the year. They put the fence up on the inside last year. This year they came back and affixed it to the walls.
He was doing that for an Eagle Scout deal or something.
Yeah, they did for some merit badge or something. But
Mike,
I think the cameras will help.
do you have to use some kind of special wood to replace that?
Yeah, it's we get it from Willie Wells. It's they call it a wood double siding. Kind of looks like the original cover bridge wood.
Well, you know, we do have our own, this is a separate levy for the covered bridge, but that's what it's for, and that's the only thing we can use it for.
Well, it isn't really a levy, but we get money from the state.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I'm
legitimate
looking to see, we
expenditure,
have,
thank
So the money's there
the
then?
money is there, I was looking to see the exact
The
amount.
money's there, that's what it's for.
I have to write that down. I'm gonna look that up.
So I think we ought to go ahead and spend it to keep that bridge in good shape.
Yeah.
you. Motion to approve Mr. Bottomley's request as presented to us for
Second.
David Isaacs for $3,100 and labor, paint, replacement boards, other paint for a total of $4,589.79.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the request for the repair of the covered bridge. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks.
There you go. Speed limits and subdivisions. You want to speak to that, Zane? or-
Yeah. I had approached Barton Barker last week of issues with subdivisions in Fayette County, or particularly mine, where people tend to move a little fast. And I was advised by the sheriff that because it's not posted in Meadow Springs, the speed limit is 55 miles an hour. That's an issue because we have children that play in these subdivisions and so on and so forth. So my proposal was that we change it and put speed limit signs out there, but someone brought it to a better attention that we should just do it for all subdivisions in Fayette County, make it a blanket speed limit. The speed limit in Pleasant View is 20 miles an hour, so instead of changing Pleasant View's speed limit zone, we just do all subdivisions in Fayette County at 20 miles an hour, and then we would post speed limit signs. I realize that's a suggestion, but once somebody gets a ticket for 55 and a 20, that's going to be a different issue. So,
We probably should say platted subdivisions.
platted subdivisions.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
I think that's what, yeah, then everybody would be the same.
Do we need a motion to authorize, or do we need a motion?
We
to-
need a motion
We'll have to
authorized,
draw up an
and
ordinance.
Mr. Bryce will
AJ
he'll have to draw up an ordinance.
Okay. I move to authorize Mr. AJ to draw up an ordinance for a speed limit in all platted subdivisions in Fayette County,
Second.
20 miles per hour.
Been moved and seconded, we adopt an ordinance for all the platted subdivisions with a speed limit of 20 miles an hour. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I believe the proper procedure would actually be, we'll carry this over to the next meeting, and there'll be public comment
Okay,
on this proposal. So,
okay,
and then you'll make a final determination at the next meeting,
okay,
after listening to public comment.
okay.
Yes, so one thing is, which is the county road that runs through the
350,
Pleasant View?
350.
That's 350?
And that's a different,
Yeah. Well, I was just
Speed
wondering
zone.
with that because I've been out there and I know people also fly up and down there, so I don't
They
know if
do.
the posted speed limit is there.
it's 30, I
Jerry's,
think, yeah.
It's 30.
yeah. Is Jerry back there?
Yeah,
He said that it's the only one right now that has its own speed limit, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pleasant
that's the only one that has an ordinance.
Right.
backing it up. It's a 20 mile an hour in Pleasant View. And there's also an ordinance for 30 mile an hour on 350. Yeah, and you're right that they fly down through there, but we've got a 30 mile an hour speed limit on that, so.
Well, you know, putting 20 mile an hour in these subdivisions doesn't necessarily mean everybody's gonna drive 20.
No,
but it's
no.
heading in the right direction.
Right. That's enforcement then.
Okay. So if you would, AJ, prepare something for us to.
Okay.
Barbara Copper?
I'm Barbara Copper. I live right beside the community building, and I want to bring it to your attention that Mary Elliott has rented her house to a man that walks around the yard shooting birds and target practicing. I reported to the sheriff several times, only to have a deputy come out and tell me that that was that man's constitutional right. He would continue to shoot because he and his girlfriend like to shoot, and that I could be sued for calling the sheriff's office and reporting him. That's a busy area there around the school with the community building, the walking track. I'm afraid to even work in my flower gardens because you hear bullets cutting up through the leaves. Lois Nichols is afraid to let her little dog out because she said she could see his legs walking through the trees there beside her. And I can't seem to get anybody to do anything.
Well, I don't know where they can do it. My understanding, that's not in the platted part of Everett. It's out in, really out in the county.
But isn't there a safety issue for all those children and the people around?
Well, there is. My suggestion is that, Mr. Bryson, you could maybe look at and advise us next meeting what we could or couldn't do. How's that?
Because of the simple fact of what, you talked to me on the phone, and I actually did some research and drove out there and looked around and then talked to several other people, and that's the answer I got. Because it's the county, they can shoot out there, but then I can see where you're saying, so it's best to have him look at it and see what the ordinance
Well,
is. And
kids are kids, and they're, even though you tell them not to cut across the yard, they'll, now that school's out, those kids are gonna be cutting across yards. They've always cut across that yard. We've never had that problem in Everton. We've always, if somebody was shooting in a dangerous area, the sheriff sent somebody out, asked them to quit, they quit. This is the first time, I've lived out there 20 years, that we've ever had a problem of somebody not using common sense, shooting that much around people. And I'm really concerned because I watch those kids. They'll walk up the road, they were chasing bunnies up into his yard, and he was on the other side of the house shooting the other day.
are they shooting across the road?
No, I'm thinking he's shooting up, but he's all over the yard. You really don't know where
I'd say if
he's
he's shooting
at.
across the road, that's illegal. Yeah.
But it seems like there's, I mean, once a child is hit by a bullet, it's too late. It's over.
There's a statute, ma'am, one of the statutes that's applicable here is the fact that it's criminal recklessness, okay? Only if by the way he's shooting, in other words, he's firing toward the school, or even pointing a loaded gun toward the school, whatever, he's creating a substantial risk of death or serious injury, okay? And if I understand you correctly, he lives on the south side of the road.
Right across the road
next to
in the old
Nichols?
Boyd Lakes house.
Next to Nichols?
Yeah, right next to
Okay.
Wayne
And
Nichols.
he's shooting up into the air
We
at
really
birds?
we don't know where he's shooting. The deputy said he target practices. I don't know the man. He moved out there a year and a half ago, and that's when it started. He worked out of town for a while, so he wasn't around, and we didn't have the problem. Now he's working somewhere close to where he's home, kind of irregular hours, and he's been out there shooting in the morning when they're unloading the buses, and that's a heavy traffic area in the morning out there. And he's out there in the evening, and I hate to think that my new normal is I'm afraid to be in my yard, or I'm afraid a child's going to be hit because this renter is allowed to walk around the yard shooting wherever he wants to.
Yep, she does.
She's got a good point, but it's the fact that it just boils down to what we can and can't do,
Right, legally.
you know?
Well, most people don't know it, but a bullet fired into the air
Comes down.
will come down at the same velocity, or maybe even an increased
Exactly.
velocity as to what it left the barrel at, depending on certain circumstances.
You can hear the bullets cut through the leaves. And my son, my boys always hunted. My dad hunted. And, you know, I was really worried about it, and I talked to my son. He said, Mom, those bullets are gonna come down. And, you know, and I know it's none of your business where anybody drinks, but I watch him sit on the porch and drink beer, or else be walking around the yard with the beer in his hand, and then start shooting. And it terrifies me because there is so many kids out there. And that's the only playground they have, is the Everton School. So the boys practice ball, and they come and play, and a lot of them walk without parents because there is parents that don't really know where their kids are at. And I have this fear of one day looking out my front door and a child hit. I don't know that I could live with that.
We'll let the attorney take his steps. I'll talk to the sheriff today and explain to him exactly what you have told us and what's been said here by us. And we're not the sheriff's boss, but we'll see what we can get him to look into the situation.
Now Lois was gonna come with me, Lois Nichols, and Jenny Buckler that lives right behind me, but Jenny works third shift, and Lois had a doctor's appointment. I mean, they can tell you exactly what I'm telling you. I've always been the one to call the sheriff because I'm right there and I can see there's been people come out and unload those four-wheel things and run on the track, you know, so I usually call and I help Denver kind of keep an eye on the community building because I live there. That's my home. I want it safe. And it's never been this way, never. So thank you very much.
We'll see what we can
We'll see what we
do.
can do for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Barbara.
Zoning orders, Mr. McDaniel.
And what I also did is, it's just a little bit more of an explanation as Mr. Barker asked me to try to be concise. But what this does is it looks at the three versions, shows what the changes are, and it's what it does is, okay. So it just goes through really the history of the ordinance. The first one was, we know that was forwarded from the county commissioners. There were, there's two parts that were involved, was both in the planned business section and then also in the special amendment section. Now, the first version that came through was, there's two new clauses in the general provisions for the planned business. And it provides a exception, except for the medical clinics, hospitals, emergency care facilities, and the like. Okay, shall be permitted by the executive director without hearing or consideration by the Board of Zoning Appeals. The second one was toward the bottom, was in the case of medical services, hospitals, emergency care facilities, and the like, the executive director shall require that the application be processed as a special exception with full notice in accordance with the requirements set forth in section 153.24 for a planned business use in a planned business district. And then what I have in there, just a brief discussion, it's the discretion of the director to, Plan Commission director, to waive special public hearing requirements for healthcare related uses in the planned district is removed. But it leaves all that discretion in place for any other type of use that requires a special exception in a planned business. And it's really a discretion I don't think I or any other executive director should have, because it's meant to be objective, but there's a lot of subjectivity, and then it has a potential to affect the transparency of really what it's supposed to be a public process. So so really the idea is that discretion should be removed in its entirety.
For every
Any special
consideration.
exception that's located in the planned business district. So it doesn't, if it requires a special exception in the planned business district, I or any other executive director do not have the authority to waive the special exception requirement.
But you do right now. What
Yeah,
you're
we-
asking-
We could do that right now.
What
It's-
you're
I'm not
asking
gonna
is that
be.
that authority be removed, and then it would have to be the entire board that made the decision.
Exactly. So it's a level of discretion that really shouldn't be there. Because like I said, it could easily be abused. Okay, the second part was in the special exceptions. There were 3 bits of new language. Okay, the first was, upon the hearings at the area, if the commission board finds that the new language is all of the following apply. Now, it's implied that a special exception needs to meet all of the criteria for approval. That just makes explicit that it's both for the board and any petitioner that you have to prove that you meet all this criteria, or else you can't legally accept the special exception. And then there were 2 new criteria, the first of which was F. The establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not be detrimental to the use, operation, or employment levels of existing publicly operated uses which provide services to the residents of Fayette County or municipalities located within Fayette County. And G, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not contravene the principles of reinvestment, revitalization, and the avoidance of unintended consequences as set forth in the Fayette County Comprehensive Plan. As I said, all the following apply. It just makes explicit in the ordinance what's part of Indiana law. Now, the first of the new criteria, which is F, essentially what that does, it requires making specific economic impact findings for use that is already provided by some type of publicly operated use. And it isn't defined. I spoke with the attorney that worked on these drafts, and he agreed that it's really fuzzy, and the idea of any of the impacts that are discussed there are really covered in the first criteria that already exists within the special exception, and that is, okay, the first criteria is will not be detrimental or endanger public health, safety, or general welfare. Now, anything as far as any potential impacts of something coming in, that's a general welfare issue. That's already there, and it's something that you would have to really define what is meant by, specifically what is meant by publicly, make sure I get it right, publicly operated uses which provide services to the residents of Fayette County. It's real difficult to define, and it's already considered, and so my suggestion was to actually remove that particular new criteria. Now G, which is the second of the new criteria, which is, it states the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not contravene the principles of reinvestment, revitalization, and the avoidance of unintended consequences as set forth in the Fayette County Comprehensive Plan.
How do you avoid unintended consequences?
It just requires thinking about what could possibly
Unintended
happen.
consequences.
It's having deeper thought to the actual project. Like I said, it just requires a little deeper thought on myself and then also the petitioner. But really the critical parts of that though are because the comprehensive plan emphasizes reinvestment and revitalization and reuse of properties whenever possible. And what that one is really doing is it's just making explicit a finding based on the comprehensive plan. Because we're supposed to consider the comprehensive plan in anything that comes forward to the Plan Commission and Zoning Board. And that just makes it explicit. Now, what happened with the second version was it deleted all of that, all of the discretion. And so all that remains with that is general provisions. It states that all applications for any use in the planned business district shall include a development plan and follow the additional requirements shall be adhered to. And what that just means is that the discretion is gone. You have to go through the public hearing process. What it did not do in the second version was it left the first of the new criteria in place. Then after further conversations with the attorney and then also with, we spoke with Mr. White, is that first criteria was removed. So all that remains with the final language was the general provisions, all application, would be adopted, would be all applications for any use in the planned business district shall include a development plan, and the following additional requirements shall be adhered to. And then with the special exception, upon such hearings, that the commission board find that all of the following apply, and then the new criteria, which is F, criterion, is the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not contravene the principles of reinvestment, revitalization, and the avoidance of unintended consequences set forth in the Fayette County Comprehensive Plan. And the city council did already adopt this particular amendment. And most of the projects that we're going to deal with probably are going to be within the city limits in general. So, there's any other questions?
Zane,
Comments?
you sit on that planning commission, do you have any comments?
We already talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what it really did is working back, because I know there were a lot of concerns, particularly about the language that was treating medical type uses differently than other special exceptions in the planned business district. And what this does is makes everything the same across the board.
Right. Even playing field.
Even playing field. And it, in particular, eliminates discretion that does not belong. And it gets rid of the more problematic of the two new criteria.
Mr. White, I know you brought this amendment to the attention of the planning commission. Does this satisfy you with the changes they've made?
Yes, sir, it just gives us coverage of the process. That's all
Okay.
we're asking.
It sounds good to me.
Gives discovery but does not stop the process.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, taking the ability to waive all these items away where everybody has, like I said, it really says on a level playing field.
Well, you streamlined it and you actually become more inclusive by excluding yourself and making it the province of the entire board, so
Yeah.
I'm for it.
I would suggest that the commissioners adopt this proposal, this amendment, entertain a motion for
Version 1 or version 2?
Version 3. That's the one that's actually included on the ordinance itself, the copies that I gave you. And if you don't have the actual copy that I put in your box, because I know it's been a while,
This one,
but this is the one right
this is the
there.
latest one you did.
So what I went through at the last one, see all the strike-throughs, that's the missing language that's been removed. So this is the part that removes all the discretion.
Okay, I'll approve I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance which amends 93-7 per the information given to us today by Mr. McDaniel.
Okay,
I'll second.
been moved and second to approve
Can I have this?
the amendment. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay,
There's 3 copies to sign.
you have 2 for me, then if you could put those in my box when they're ready, I'll appreciate it.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
Okay, well, we'll just sign these
sign the
when we
others.
sign our bills and claims. Cemetery Commission.
morning, Mr. Barker.
Good morning.
And fellow commissioners, Mr. Bedore, Mr. Jackson.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Cindy Nichols, and I am a Fayette County
I'm sorry,
United...
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your name, I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
Do I need to move?
It's partially, it's this right here.
Oh, okay. My name is Cindy Nichols, and I am a Fayette County United States Navy veteran. Thank you for allowing me to come before you today. I would like to say that we are very passionate about our cause, and sometimes our emotions get the better of us. I am offering a sincere apology if we have stepped on anyone's toes or have offended you in any way. None of us knew when we were appointed to this board the politics that would be involved. All any of us wanted to do was work together to bring our pioneer cemeteries back into good repair and keep them that way. We would appreciate it greatly if we could try to move forward with a clean slate and begin fresh. Dave, Corinne, and myself attended a 2-day workshop this past weekend in Lawrence, Indiana. It was on basic hands-on cemetery preservation. A small list of the things we learned on day 1 were cleaning a cemetery, leveling stones, mortar recipes for different applications,
What was that?
mortar recipes, mixing different formulas of mortar to hold different types of stones, resetting, stabilizing, stacking monuments on flat surfaces, building a slotted base and resetting stones, and that's actually pouring a concrete base for a slotted stone, cleaning and polishing stones, and probing for stones. At the end of the class, the instructor said that we now have the basic information needed in order to work in the cemeteries and instruct our volunteers on proper procedures. These are the basics that anyone can do. On day 2, the class covered many topics, including legal issues involving the cemeteries. This was not a free workshop. We all had to pay for it. And we're all 3 planning on attending an advanced class in September that will cover repairing broken stones and using a tripod to reset larger monuments. After that, we can revisit necessary supplies and tools for heavier duty restoration if that's a possibility. I'd like to show you a couple photos that we have prior for the workshop. This was a stone that actually the person who presented the workshop did prior to the...
Was that Mr. Walters?
Yes, sir. This is us working on one of our own. We actually got to get down and dirty and hands-on, and this is our finished product. So if you put it by his, there's not, and he went ahead and polished and finished it out. We just cleaned it.
He being John.
Mr. Walters.
Mr. Walters.
This was a stone that we had several in a row. We reset that one and made it straight. It was leaning like the front one here. Of course, this one from the front doesn't really show much other than it's straight up and down.
And you did this, excuse me, you did this under the
Guidance of Mr.
guidance
Walters.
of John?
Yes, that was a workshop and it was open. We had, I think, per class, there was you could go on Friday all day in the cemetery, Saturday half a day in the classroom, and then it switched and it was all day Saturday in the cemetery and Friday half day in class. So there was probably 30 available slots in each class, so 60 people attended this workshop.
How much did it cost you?
It cost us $30 a piece.
$30 a piece.
How many people attended?
From our group, 3.
Yeah.
3.
Lenny couldn't attend because he drives a bus and had other commitments, and Doug has had some health issues. So that's just to show a little bit about what we have accomplished and what we can do for our pioneer cemeteries. And we have the ability, thank you, to show others how to do it as well, and gradually get our pioneer cemeteries up to where, you know, we can sit back and let groups take over and adopt cemeteries and that type of thing. One of our first projects when we first got started, the very first meeting we had an issue with Russell Cemetery. We had a call that cows had gotten into the cemetery and broken up the stones. After the meeting, Dave and Lenny went out. This is the cemetery, and took pictures right afterwards to show all the stones but 2 have been broken. They re-secured the cemetery, but we need to put up wood posts and good fencing to keep the cows out.
There are veterans in that cemetery, isn't there?
I believe there's 2, is there 2?
Actually, I live like right over here. This is towards Rushville.
We have another little cemetery, it's called Kinney. And this is one that is in our region. We have separated all we have divided up all the regions so that each one has a designated responsibility, so we don't be traveling all over the county. Kinney, when I went to clean, to rake, this was what it looked like when I came. This is what it looked like when I left. This is another view from the side when I left. And these are the actual stones inside. But this is what that cemetery looks like as of Sunday. The cows have gotten in again. They're pushing forward the fence. We really need, David went out and asked one of the farmers that he is associated with in doing the cemeteries. He got a half a roll of barbed wire. He went to 3 farmers to ask for posts. Most of the farmers now are pulling up their posts and they're already taking them to be recycled. So we really need some metal posts to get this cemetery secured. Another cemetery, and this will be the last one that I show before and after. This was Washam Cemetery. This is before I raked.
Remind me where Washington's located.
Washam is on 44 on Mr. Looking, is it Looking's property? This is another part from inside. There's like a little crypt in there. This is after the raking. It took me 3 rakings to get everything out, and it took me about 3 hours. And this is what it looked like last week. And I'm not going to go, I was hoping the projector would be up so it would be easier to show all the pictures, but I'm just going to give you a stack of pictures. I've written the names of the cemeteries on them. The only other one that I had one, it's not a before and after, it's just like we had in Shawnee Bluff, we had this tree down, and then they went in and cut it up. We were able to salvage some for posts out of the tree, so we can use those in other cemeteries. And these, I've marked on each one which cemeteries they're in, shows the condition of them now, and the stones that are in danger of being lost. And the last cemetery I would like to talk about is when we made up the mowing contract, or the proposed list for the mowing contractor, we were told that Burke could be a spring and fall cemetery, that it was in the field. We have since found it is not. It's not a problem for access. You just have to cross a small creek, and it's very. We went after a rain, and it only comes up to your ankles. And talking to Mr. Moorhead, he said that he would drive his tractors across it, so it's not an issue. It is back a little ways, but it is a cemetery that we can't do just once a week. We're recommending that you suggest to him, to the contractor, to mow this every week, because it's up to my head.
Which one is it?
That is the, Burke, sorry.
Or where is that?
That is the one on,
Alpina Road.
But it's back in the field?
yeah,
It's
but
up
you
on a
can
hill.
get to it.
Yeah,
It's an easy path to get to it. You don't have to go through any crops.
there's no crops.
And it was mowed on a weekly basis when Mr. Moorhead took care of the cemeteries.
Here's the problem. That was not included in the advertisement for bid.
No.
Now you're going in and changing it.
No, well, my understanding is that we can add or subtract cemeteries at any time. And us not knowing, we were told that we couldn't, no one could find that cemetery, and when we finally found it, it is very
Well,
accessible.
what she's trying to say, we advertise it for a contract for a certain amount of cemeteries, or for specific cemeteries, so you can't go in and just
We
tell.
would have to get a revision on,
And we have talked about it amongst ourselves, and we thought that if it would help Corey out, that maybe we could switch, do some of the smaller cemeteries ourselves, and maybe
Didn't you
take.
say you have to go across the creek to get to this?
Yes, but it's a very narrow creek. That's in the spring. It wasn't very deep. You can, I mean, I could drive my car across.
How big a cemetery is this?
It's 150 graves or more, and there's veterans out there.
I mean, getting a big mower over there would be a problem, right?
No. The only problem now is,
Mr. what?
Mr. Moorhead said he drove his across.
Drove his mower?
yes. The only problem right now is all the stones are covered up. The little footstones, they're all covered. You would have to go in there and weed eat around every stone before you brought the mower in. But it is very mowable with a mower. They're spaced out just like they should be. There's none. I just want to make a reminder, we've been talking about these different cemeteries. We want to remind everyone that's hearing this that anyone wishing to visit a Pioneer Cemetery, you must be, and you should be, accompanied by a commission board member, because you can't have all these people going across people's private property without knowledge. I'd like to thank you for your time, and if you don't have any questions, I'll turn it over to Lenny.
I do.
Sure.
Number one, you started your presentation out very well.
Thank you.
I appreciate the apology.
Thank you.
Number two, let me clear the air, at least on my part, about some of my reservations, okay? And then maybe we can find some common ground. It was mentioned at the county council meeting a couple of weeks ago, if I heard correctly, there are 109 cemeteries, is that correct? Did I hear correctly?
We have been.
That's what Mr. Moorhead said.
We have been told anywhere between 107 and 109. That includes ones that are under, what's it called? Associations, that are cared for by associations, if that's what they do.
Okay.
And some possible unfound.
Yes, we have,
Do
on our,
we-
Where they think they are, but
Some of
they
them
haven't been
found.
proven to be.
right.
Okay, all right.
counting more than unfound
Okay, all right.
And Corey only mows, what, he's contracted for 20.
How many of the ones that you're looking at, okay? How many of them how many are there minus the 20 or so that are mowed by Corey, and minus the ones that are maybe completely unreachable, whatever? What's the ballpark figure we're talking about?
50.
Yeah, around, I'd say a good guess is 50, but having my paperwork in front of me,
50, did you know where they are and you've been to them?
yes.
And those others you're talking about just trimming up in the spring and the fall?
No, we have to take care of them year round. You can't,
yeah, but
you
I'm
can't just
saying-
trim in the spring and in the fall because
Well,
they
if they're
grow
out in the
up.
middle of somebody's field, you can't.
If they're in the middle of the field and we don't have access to it, then yes, that's all we can do.
Right. So
And that
how
would
many
be
of them-
like Thomas Cemetery,
Williams.
and Russell. You know, there are some that you have to go for fields. The one, yeah, the Williams is a big one, but yeah. But that's all we can do. I mean, we can walk back, but you can't push mowers back there, or, you know, you just have to carry a pack and your weed eater and do what you can do.
Okay, here's just some of my reservations, and I want you to understand this is not offensive to, it's not intended to be offensive to anybody, okay? But money you're asking for, the equipment you're asking for, it seems to me like, here's my reservation. You got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
A lot of hard, nasty, sweaty, spiders crawling up your legs, mosquitoes biting your neck type of work, okay?
Sir.
And I appreciate that, because that's truly hard work, and I'm not just saying that. But I think my reservation is what happens next year or the following year, okay? If we buy this equipment, and what happens if the commission, the existing members disband? What happens if someone gets sick and they've got to take care of someone in their family, et cetera, et cetera? Do you see where I'm going?
I see where you're going, sir.
Okay.
And my solution is, or our plan is, that we, as a 5-member team, work as hard as we can this first year, work with civic groups, Girl Scouts, 4-H groups, train them on how to take care of them, train them how to clean them up, train them what trees must go, how to take care of it, what to do with the stone if it's broken and shattered in the ground. Our vision is to do that. And then when we get these cemeteries up to where they should be, get them adopted by a 4-H group or this. And then that way, the board members can sit back and just visit these cemeteries and make sure these are done.
Have you had any success with civic groups wanting to
We have
take care of
had,
these?
the American Legion has offered their help. We've had a couple 4-H groups. We've had, and once we get this out, we're appealing for volunteers. We've got to get it started. So we've got to get a meeting, get them to sign the waiver forms, get a class, take them to a big cemetery, one of our bigger ones, show them how to clean, show them what to do, what not to do. And then we can go from there. We can start having workshops every week if we wanted to.
But you can't take them to a cemetery like that in that condition.
If it's a small group, we could, because right now that's just weeds grown up because I've cleared out all the brush already. But you couldn't take a group of 100 people out to there, no. That would be one you could take maybe 5 or 6 to display.
And right now,
and
you
show.
need to get these to maintainable levels.
What do we need?
No, I said you need to get these to maintainable levels.
And that's
of
our
Getting
goal.
it cut and so on and so forth.
Because we're thinking if we get them up to par, maybe even the property owners are going to say, hey, that looks really good. I'll take the time to mow it, or I'll take the time to trim it.
This is something that we've not made up. Other counties have adopted this, and it's working well in other counties.
What, the volunteer program?
The volunteer program,
Programs, they're-
basically along the same lines that you're
Yes,
talking
I mean,
about
We're not
now.
making this up, we're going by what other counties are doing, and
Okay.
that's successful. And that's what we're trying to implement and educate Dade County citizens and organizations to help with. And that's where we're getting our knowledge and stuff from, is from other volunteers from other counties.
So once they're up to par, the board members can be just a board and go around and supervise and make sure things are done. Visiting places maybe once a month or whatever to make sure what they're supposed to be doing is being done. But we have to make them accountable and teach them the right way.
To help, the other thing is, and I'm going to bring this question up because somebody's going to ask it. Let's say you do get all the volunteers, everything goes well, the cemeteries are being taken care of, okay? And you got a couple groups that are just lacking off. They want to go to the lake this weekend. They don't want to really mess with it. It's old news. It's boring. It's hot. They already did their yard. They don't want to do this too. And then you go to it, and it looks like some of these. What's your course of action? Do you guys spring into action as board members, get your weed eaters and lawnmowers and go do it, and then call them and go, are you
Yes,
guys doing this
We would take care
anymore
of
or
it
not?
first, and then we would approach the issue with them if they're no longer wanting to do that. I'm sure we're going to have more than enough people to volunteer because we've got people coming out of the woodworks. The more they learn about us, the more they're contacting us. It's like, and they're on edge. They want to get going, but we can't get going.
The other thing is I wanted to mention is in a lot of these cemeteries, David, you took me to a couple, we have veterans in these cemeteries. And if it wasn't for some of these guys, we'd all be speaking a different language or being so we owe the respect to them to at least try to take care of it. And that's just my official position on it.
Do you know, I'm asking because I don't know, do you know who the veterans are in all of these cemeteries?
It's written down.
Some of
It's
them-
on a ledger,
Yeah.
and I assume some of these go back maybe to Civil War days?
Revolutionary.
Revolutionary War.
Okay.
We have Revolutionary War buried in our monument cemeteries. We have veterans of War of 1812 buried in our cemeteries. We have Civil War, and we have a Korean War veteran and a World War II veteran buried in our monument cemeteries.
My great-grandfather was Spanish American, but he's buried in the,
Well, I
in
don't
the,
think we have.
I'm
I don't
sorry,
think we have
he
any
was
World
buried in
War
City
I or
Cemetery.
Spanish American War. But we have War of 1812 and Revolutionary War.
And I would like to point out that last year Lenny and his family went around and put flags on all the graves of the veterans. Any of the holders that were missing, he replaced the holders.
Who did that, I'm sorry?
Lenny did. They had, I think, was it the American Legion that bought flags, and then he also bought some
I
flags.
purchased flags myself, the American Legion supplied flags and also the plaques to replace any flags or some that was not there.
I also have stuff that, in my garage, that you guys have come and looked at that I'm gonna donate. Cones, orange cones, reflective vests, just stuff that I know you guys can use. And I also have a flag that I'm gonna have cleaned by Hasslers. They said they do American flags for free, and then I'm gonna donate it to you guys. The only other thing I was gonna say was that you guys went to this thing to do county business or whatever that you were appointed for, and you paid $30 a piece, and I would be willing to bet that I don't know, you could get reimbursed for that, because, I mean, you're spending your own money and so on and so forth, but that's just my other suggestion on that.
How do we go about getting reimbursed for that and mileage?
I think you'd have to fill out a form.
Zane's gonna write you a check out.
There's no appropriation for that.
Appropriation.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What's the procedure?
There's no appropriation for that to county,
Okay.
Okay.
so that could be in the budget next year if they want to, but they
You
can't
guys
do
would
it.
have to determine whether it goes in the budget. It's you guys' budget.
Right, but it can't go in this year's budget.
Appreciate that.
So, this, you was talking about the headstones. Are you saying that you're going to restore the headstones?
We're not to the restoration part yet. This is basic maintenance of a cemetery where you can go in and you level the stones, you reset the stones, like if you saw a couple of those monuments, the top had slid off. We can do that as long as it's not too big for us to lift. When you get to that point, you're gonna have a tripod. But the small ones we did, I mean, that was something we could pick up, and we cleaned it and
Well,
we
my
reset
point
it.
being, this class you went to was put on by Mr. Walters, who is the recognized expert around as far as restoring headstones.
I don't think there is a recognized restoration, it's just ones that go by their reputation. I mean, there's no class to go to college to learn this.
I understand that, but he does have the reputation of being proficient at it and doing a good job.
Yes, and he
he's the
will-
ones that we hired last year, contracted for Nulltown, and done half of, or done part of Orange.
Yes, but he is into the restoration part, the actual fixing of broken stones, the smaller monuments and things we could do.
Yeah, but my question is, you're still in agreement that we need him to do the restoration of the headstones?
At this point, we are not to that point.
And that's fine. I mean, I know what you're saying. It's just, as far as the mowing and the wood, you know, the trees down, and the this and that, the cemeteries that no one's gonna go mow. That's
And
what-
like I said, clean them, you saw
Right.
what it looked like after we cleaned it. And that's
Right.
just ammonia water and a nylock brush.
But the other thing is, and I know what you're saying, there is more to that. But even at this point in the game, with it being, I've mowed my grass twice, 3 times already, needs to be mowed again. You guys got enough work on your hands just in mowing and raking and to probably last you the rest of the summer.
That's a
I
good
mean-
possibility.
Yeah.
Zane, what I was trying to get to is, upon visiting a lot of these cemeteries where there's veterans documented,
Right,
doesn't necessarily mean that we found the actual grave or the stone.
right.
Now,
You know they're buried there, but you don't know where
according
the
to
stone is.
documentation.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the proper thing to do is still put a plaque at the entrance
Mhm.
and display the American flag,
Mhm.
honor them that way. But, you know, we can still keep mowing and doing this, but until we go and do the probing and trying to find these stones, then once we find them, if they're there, we can do the process of leveling it, you know, the proper base and stuff, and that's the.
Everything that you're doing is mimicking what the other counties around us do. Rush County, Wayne County,
Yes.
Franklin County, as far as their pioneer
These go
cemeteries.
from interstate too. It's all over the United
You
States.
know,
People are
it's
doing
not
this.
for all the counties, but I'll tell you what, the ones that are successful and getting the job done is what we're looking at.
Okay.
What counties have you looked at?
Johnson County, Ripley County,
Rush County works on strictly volunteers. They have a group that do their cemeteries.
Do these other counties have Johnson County probably has more than what we do, but
oh, absolutely.
do these other counties, say Rush County, do they have a comparable volume of cemeteries to take care of?
As far as I know, the last person that told me they had over 100 pioneer cemeteries in Rush County.
That's about the average of every county. Really, it's very overwhelming. You just drive down the road, you drive by and you don't realize it.
There were 8 members from Hendricks County at the class on Saturday. I mean, it was like almost half the class that showed up for that particular part. And they're all working and they don't have a commission. They're just all volunteers. And we were told when we left that we have the ability, we have the knowledge now to train our volunteers to do the proper thing. And it's basic cemetery maintenance is basically what it is. You go in, you clean it up, you get rid of the brush, the noxious weeds, the scrub trees, you get rid of them. Then you look at your stones, you get them straight. The ones you
Which
can
hasn't been done for a long time, right?
Some of them, yes. But the smaller ones, we are very capable of doing.
So what is it you're asking us for this morning? Or are you asking for anything?
I was giving them a presentation on the class and showing what the cemetery shape we're in, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lenny to go into the tool list.
I appreciate it. First of all, good morning. And
Thanks, Cindy.
for Mr. Bedore, Mr. Jackson, and Mr. Barker, I understand your concerns. What about tomorrow? I understand that. You know, we don't know what is in store for us tomorrow. But if we don't try, it's not going to happen. So we got to try to get volunteers. We got to try to get things in place to get these cleaned up. And I understand, you know, it's a hard process to keep it going. You know, someday I won't be here to do it. But hopefully we educated enough people to take over. And that's where we got to start. We got to start educating everybody. And I can understand your concerns, really. But what I'm here for, I'm here on behalf of Corinne, our commission president. She's on vacation.
What happened to Mr. Keller?
Mr. Keller's health's not doing too good.
He's still a member. He's
still a member.
his health.
And according to him, he's under doctor's care right now.
I mean, the reason I asked, the last time I talked to him, he was president and then
Right, and we did come to you and mention the fact that he asked to step down from that, but stay as a board member, to stay on board and be an advisor. And based off of his recommendation, we felt that that's what he wanted, that's what we gave. On the county council, they asked that we revisit with you guys on the tools. So that's what we're here for, on the tool quote. And as you can see, you know, let's put everything aside as far as getting them cleaned up. Mowing and stuff like that. Weeding. You know, you're not going to get a mower through a lot of that stuff there anyways. But based off the recommendation of Mr. Mike Winna, county councilman, this is a list that was comprised, and I do have copies of those lists.
And this is a list that was comprised with the help of Mr. Mike Winta, which from the original list, if you remember the original list we gave you, that's very, compacted from what it was before. And even less because after meeting with Mr. Winta, we even took off more. So that's less than what Mr. Winta had
What
even.
was Mr. Winter?
I'm sorry?
But you met with Mr. Winter concerning what you should buy, is what you're saying?
Yes. The very first time I visited the county council to ask that the money be transferred, the $7,000. That's when the question came up, what was it for and stuff. And at that time, the council felt like Mr. Winta would meet with us and come to a consensus on what we could possibly use and what we could need. And then that's when I had called each one of you commissioners to ask if you could come to that meeting, which was the following day, and each of you was already prior busy, which I understand because it was a short notice. And this is the list that we comprised of. Actually, like I said, the list was more than what you're seeing now. We even took off more than what we needed.
What's that total?
$3,066.42.
And note that is the quote from Gilman's here locally. And again, there are quotes from other businesses that are cheaper, but being that we wanted to keep it local business involved, this was the quote that they gave us. And that, if this moves forward, that would be, what you guys would choose, how to go about it. And we would.
How much cheaper was the other quotes?
I'm sorry?
How much cheaper was the other quotes?
How much cheaper? By about $1,000.
That's a bunch.
Yeah. Now, according to this, Mr. Winta, when speaking with Representative Gilman, said that some of these tools, for an example, like a shovel, if it breaks, return it, give us a new one. No questions asked. That's the understanding that we got from Mr. Winta. So, over the long run, is that worth $1,000, depending on which equipment?
Gilman's said that they would replace it.
That's the understanding that Mr. Winta gave us. That's what he told us. That if you're using a shovel and it breaks, it snaps, whatever, you bring it back to the Gilman's and they will replace it. And again, like I said, Mr. Winta was very generous to help us out on this matter, and he went and spoke with them as well. And we worked diligently on this to try to come to a common ground.
The other quotes for the other equipment, is the quality of the equipment comparable to this?
This is pretty much the high end. If you notice, like on the second page, as far as the trimmer and stuff, that's your still equipment, which is a better quality merchandise. And like Mr. Winta looked into the different pricing, and to have the detachable attachments, I guess you could say, like the trimmer, the power head, which attaches to this one unit, would be more cost effective than just going out and purchasing all these individually. But yes, as you can see here, it does say on the quote that it's high end. Now, to my understanding, that there was going to be an additional discount on that, but I have not seen that on here, so I can't really say that that's going to happen, but that was what was told to us. Being a county entity, I believe. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. That's just what I was told.
Debbie, shouldn't they be able to get the government pricing?
I don't know.
If they had government
I don't
pricing.
know that Gilman has that, but I don't know whether they offer. And
If you're doing-
probably who to talk to about that would be, that does business with them, would probably be Bill Gray.
But if you accept a quote, you need to know what the quote is.
right here on this quote is $3,066.42 for all the items
Right,
listed
but you
here.
said there could be an additional discount.
Well,
too.
there could. You know,
That's what I'm saying, we need
Yeah.
to know what, if there is, we need to know what that is.
right.
Yes, sir.
That's what our point was. Governments keep saying that they'll give us additional discounts, but we would like to see it in black and white.
That's right.
Yeah.
They don't want to come.
They don't want to come forward with that, and Mr. Winter is so, yeah, he wants to buy local, so.
Well, this is the commissioner's decision, not.
Yeah, not a county.
not
Right,
the
and he
council.
was just helping
That's not
us.
legal,
I
that's
understand.
just
I didn't
that.
understand. I believe what Mr. Winter, let me rephrase on that. He felt like we wasn't giving the local business a fair shot at, you know, the equipment.
I understand.
Which at the time we did give them the chance for an estimate as well as some businesses in Wayne County, et cetera. So I think that's why Mr. Winter felt, you know, that they wasn't giving a fair shot. Which in fact, after he did go, the quote was the same on all the stuff. Just the equipment and the list diminished from the original list. Okay? But the quotes were the same.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the commissioners, we do stress buying the county if you can, but not at the expense of 30%, which this might be. You know,
Right.
We still have to go on somewhat the lowest price if we can, because if the county doesn't have extra money to spend.
Can you get what you need for $2,100?
You know,
Which is roughly $1,000 less than what you've given us here.
now on all this, no. I mean, I would have to break down and look at the stuff that's the most important, but that's better than nothing.
Can you get the
Well,
$2,100?
From what you're saying, the other quotes were, you could.
Probably,
Right.
Dave, pretty much,
Lowe's, they went through and gave us their full price, quote. Then they took 20% off of that. That's how they, on the original bid, come up with $1,000 cheaper than anybody else.
$1,000 cheaper than this.
Yeah. that's
Well,
right.
not that list, our original list.
Our
When you
original
give
list,
all
right.
three lists to all three vendors, and they came with their quotes, and Lowe's price, they said over the whole thing, 20% off, and any future purchases, 20% off.
Well, what I'm saying is the commissioners approve the purchasing, we have to know what the cost is and not
Exactly.
might be this or, you know, or
But
give
with
it.
Lowe's, they were saying 20% off across the board.
And we didn't go back to Lowe's with the with the new
Revised
list,
it, yeah.
revised list, because Mr. Winter is so happy about buying locally, we didn't even bother about going back to Lowe's.
No, we could compare the two lists and take the same items that are on it and come up with the price.
Or we
And
could
we
go
did,
back
it would be less.
to Lowe's and ask them what they could do on the new list, which they said they would just give us
we would
20%
do that
off.
for you guys because I think that's, I mean, reasonable, the lowest price and, you know, more quotes would be,
Well, you know,
I think we should revisit that.
We will bend over backwards to give people in Fayette County the business we can, but not at the.
Lenny, I'm
Yes.
a firm believer that you get what you pay for, okay?
absolutely.
And I don't want to see you buying a weed eater that the head pops off every third time you smack it to get some more cord, okay?
Right.
By the same token, I don't want to spend $1,000 of the taxpayers' money that I don't have to, okay? So if that tells you where I'm coming from, you need good equipment, but we need the absolute rock bottom price,
Right.
okay?
Okay, based on what you just said, even off the recommendation of Corey, he said that the Stihl weed eaters is probably the best that you can get as far as lasting. And if there's maintenance due on it and you need to get another part, it's easy access. You know, parts are available, you don't, it's not like pulling teeth to get it. So that's why, as far as weed eaters go, I think, you know, I would advise the Stihl as well. even after,
Well,
talking
you're
with Mr.
gonna be doing some heavy-duty stuff, so.
Right. So, and you can see on the quotes right here, Gilman's, I believe that is the rock bottom price on their steel equipment. And starting, if you can see down where it starts at the amount of $479.99 on down, that's all the attachments for one said unit. Which that right there takes care of a lot of stuff that we would possibly need.
Mr. President, just a comment, because we've looked at these lists a couple times. That $1,000 savings, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, was based on the $7,000 list.
Correct, yes.
It was the bigger list. Now that that list has been pared down, I think that savings would be more appropriately somewhere in the $500, and I'm just,
See, I didn't know, because this is the first time we've ever seen the list.
Right, and I'm
some
sorry
reason.
that, I'm not certain how all of this came about, but again, since we're starting over fresh, I think this quote here may be $500 difference, not the whole $1,000.
So
because the whole
this
$1,000
may be close to an actual figure, an accurate figure.
Correct, correct.
And if I might say so, we thought we were doing the proper thing because you can't buy anything until you have money appropriated. So we figured that we would ask for the money to be moved and then come to you with a list, our final list, say this is what we need, and then you would determine what we could have. That was our thinking, because it wouldn't make sense giving you a list if there was no money to be appropriated. That was just our way of thinking. And if it was wrong, I'm sorry.
Remember, Lenny, when I told you you'd need a commissioner to sign off on it, on that transfer, because it's the commissioner's budget, not your budget.
Right.
And no one ever signed, every time I took that transfer 2 times to council, and it never got a commissioner's signature, so.
Okay, I'll back up to that. Like I said, I just went to go put us on the agenda. I don't know the logistics of it all. Debbie was nice enough to sit down for like 45 minutes and go over
I've
some of the
spent
stuff
a
with.
ton of time on all, you
And-
keep asking for the same thing over and over, and I keep giving it, and I don't know what else to do.
Okay. Now,
I
with
can't
that-
devote that much time.
So where's
I
that
just
list,
can't.
where's that thing to sign? That paper?
Okay, now, that's what I want to get to. I had no idea that we had to do a line transfer or nothing. She sat down and showed me. The $7,000 was a figure I came up with. I know that the high end of the estimate at the time was $5,000. I said $7,000 because that doesn't mean you have to spend it. You're in control of it, and I figured, as long as that money's there, at least it's covering any other estimate. That was my understanding, and I told Debbie that. Now, when she sat there and told me it needed to be signed, she told me that Mr. Barker and Mr. Bador was due in her office, and she would have them sign it.
Yeah, and I think I told both.
So that's
I
where
said
it
you were
left.
both,
I was out of
come
control of it.
in.
I thought it was taken care of from there.
Well, the reason I would sign it because it has never been brought up in front of the commissioners about whether they wanted to do this or not. This is a 3-member board.
And we understand that now, because the process we thought was you have to ask for the money before you can ask for the tools.
So
So,
instead of beating a dead horse as far as misunderstandings, at $500 less than, it's $2566.42. If you were like, I just subtracted 500 off of this quote, but substantially $500 is, it's whatever you guys think.
Well, and I have a question too. Is there a possibility we could get the high-end equipment from Gilman's and then go to Lowe's for the other equipment that's lower priced? I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, can we buy the steel leaders from Gilman's and then go to Lowe's to get
Well,
shovels?
what I'm telling you, we need,
I don't think we have an account set up with Lowe's at all. That would take having that done to be able to buy off of a purchase order.
if we could get the weed eaters right now, that'd be a tremendous help. I mean, small steps, that's fine. I understand. I mean, that would be a big help. And then, if we need something down the line, we could revisit, but we need to get in there with it.
what I'm saying, what you need to do in the future, if you're wanting to buy something, we normally get 3 quotes and we want you to bring those in. This is what it's gonna cost.
Right.
You know, not, we think maybe they'll give us a discount later on. We need to know exactly what it's gonna cost, and we need the 3 quotes, if you can get 3 quotes on whatever you wanna buy.
And that was the original one that we did. When it was the high end, we had a quote from Gilman's, quote from Lowe's,
But what
and
I'm
a
saying
quote
is,
from Will.
we have never seen those.
Right, and you didn't because
Right.
it stopped at the city or the county council, and then that's when we met with
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Winton. So, yeah, I understand it.
You know, like I said, we're all new to this. And you said if we get bids, we have, you know, we've got to get like 3
Quotes.
bids.
Quotes.
Quotes. Debbie said that we don't have an account with Lowe's, so how do we know what entities we don't have accounts with? I mean, what's the point of getting a... what's
We'll
the
really
point
have
of
an
getting-
account or not, if we purchase it, we can send a check when they go to get it if we approved it, right?
Wow, that's not how.
Why would that be?
I don't know, I would have to contact Lowe's, probably try to set up an account.
Let's just do it this way.
We've never had somebody outside of a regular county department that knows how things operates, trying to go and spend the county's money. That's not a political statement, that's just me, because I'm responsible for the money, and
An account's
Yeah.
fine with me. I don't want to handle the money.
We're not
It's fine.
trying to account for their money, we're just trying to find out how we're supposed to do things. No one has come to our meeting and instructed us. We were handed the bylaws, we thought the bylaws were what we were supposed to do, so we followed the bylaws. Mr. President came to our meeting one day and asked us for the list of the mowing, what we wanted to put on the mowings, and we did what he asked us. We don't know. We're
the other
new.
cemetery, the cemetery commission that I have known of has never purchased equipment. That's always been
But
through
you've had a
a
cemetery
county
department.
employee
Yes.
that ran the department, which he quit.
But that's
Now we're
what
taking
we're saying, we're trying to figure out
Well-
what is the process.
I don't
What,
know
no
about
one's helping
that.
us, telling us
You're
what the
without a county
process is.
employee, so somebody needs to go out there and do it. We're volunteering to do it.
Well, there,
And
Okay.
so,
I'm,
What was your figure?
we're gonna cut the baby in half here, folks, okay? I'm gonna make a motion that you be authorized for the amount of $2,566.42. That's the amount minus, that you've given us, minus $500, okay? You will have to pair from your list the equipment,
you're doing this differently.
$500
You
worth.
expect me as a
Okay,
department head to do
that
that.
should get you
That's what I'm
some,
saying, how do we do it, Debbie?
that should get you some really good, weed eaters, the basics that you need, okay?
and we would come to you first before we purchase them, even if the money's allocated,
Okay.
with your approval of that
Here-
equipment.
Here's,
We've got to get, Debbie has to figure out how we actually can't do it, how we actually can't buy it, because the cemetery commission can't.
It would have to be authorized by the commissioners, and then, you know, are you talking about buying some from Lowe's? I'm just saying
No,
what you're doing
I'm-
now.
No.
If I came to you and asked for something, I bring you 3 quotes, you
Right,
know.
and that's really what we
Yeah.
need.
you want 3 quotes now.
Well, no, I'm just saying that
That is
I don't
our
want
norm-
you to be setting a precedent that
Right.
other department heads come in
We'll do what you,
and you're just doing everything differently than what there isn't,
Is 2 weeks gonna make a big difference to you?
resolution set up.
Why don't you give us 3 quotes on the equipment that we're gonna buy? Bring them in the next meeting, and we will decide what we wanna do. Okay?
that's fair.
One thing,
My question though is,
Let-
it's
hang on.
not just 2 weeks.
one thing, okay?
What do you mean it's
Why
not
is it
15?
at 2 weeks?
Just let him.
The county has ID tags for equipment, okay?
Yeah.
I want everything that's possible. I realize on a shovel, it'll probably wear off, and anything that's got any heat, the glue, but if we've got any metal tags or
Weed
anything like
eaters
that.
should be put on an inventory, yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, you'll need an inventory list, you can get you have
I
actual
already
inventory
gave them.
sheets.
Yeah, and once things are purchased, And you kept asking for the equipment list. I had looked at the equipment list, and I know that the prior cemetery department had, that there were a lot of things that were never included on the list, you know. Never was. That last Gravely mower, that was before I came in. It was never ever put on an equipment list. So don't go coming up in the next meeting and saying, well, something's wrong with the equipment list, like was implied in the council meeting, that we had made funny with the equipment list or something. It is what it is. Sharon goes after people and makes sure that we get inventory tags and things get done, but that evidently hadn't been done in the past. So,
Anyway,
you know.
everything will have to be tagged, okay? And
We
then,
did
of course-
visit that earlier, that David mentioned
Okay.
that we would do that because that's the proper thing to do, yes.
But on the ones like you said are the shovels, can we just take the tag number and engrave it?
You can do whatever.
That
On
sounds,
things that
that's,
we
you'll
maybe
just have to put
might
Fayette County and the tag number on there. Save your tag back, put it on a piece of paper describing equipment, something like that, okay? Everything has to be accounted for, okay?
And then somebody had mentioned earlier that you would use the shed that's at the cemetery building that is empty with the locks. They would possibly get 2 new locks, keys, and put everything that you have in the sheds.
You're talking about the shed and not the building where the
Correct.
cemetery
Well,
was.
locks and things like that, you need to go with Bill Gray, because I think he has them keyed so that he has like a master key to stuff.
Okay.
So,
And, yeah, that was next on the list, so, yeah, we'd have to have storage for the equipment, so.
Well, there is a shed up there next side of where the cemetery building was.
Okay, okay.
Okay, folks?
well, you
Sounds to
had,
me like
you
we're-
had a motion on the floor, so what do we do?
I will,
Rescind it.
remove my motion if I can.
Okay?
Okay, so, you're saying the use of the sheds, not the building, is that correct?
Right.
Okay,
I'm not sure what we're gonna do with the building, but
okay.
I sure don't wanna be opening that up, heating that building,
sure.
turning electricity and all that stuff on.
Be sure to call about a week early to get yourself on the agenda for our next meeting, okay? And have your 3 quotes to be able to present to us then,
We will.
okay?
I do have some other stuff, if you don't mind. I know it's been lengthy, but there was a lot of questions that we wasn't aware of. First off, the truck, the Cemetery Commission would like to make clear to the county commissioners and the county council that we only asked for the use of a truck, if one was available. And something came up about the cemetery truck, and
Well,
I guess-
I'm not sure that a non-employee can
well, I
operate a
mean,
county
we
truck.
just, for hauling out, the debris and stuff that we would take out. We was just asking questions, and then somehow it blew up. So we just letting you know that we just asked to use a truck, and the cemetery truck came up, and at that point, the only concern that we had was that it bears the logo of the cemetery department. If it's not a county vehicle, then.
It is a county vehicle.
Okay. So it does have the cemetery department logo on it.
By law, the commissioners own everything,
Right.
okay? We don't own it personally, but in our office, we own everything, the vehicles, the courthouse, et cetera, et cetera. That's, when he's talking about that, that's what he means, that even though you're a cemetery commission or whatever kind of commission or whatever, technically everything is owned by the commissioners.
And we understand that,
Okay.
and we just simply asked if there was any time that we could have access to a truck to remove debris, if we could use that.
One thing you might think of is when you get into heavy stuff, in enough time in advance, talk to Michelle Dudley at Community Corrections.
Okay.
Okay? She can, with time, give her enough heads up. She has work crews. There are 3 city police officers that work part-time in charge of these crews, and tell her what you need, what's expected, and et cetera, and see if she can accommodate you with some extra manpower, lifting assistance, raking assistance, whatever, okay?
Okay.
But give her plenty of time and give her a full description of what you're expecting, and if she can't do it, then she can't.
Okay.
But if she can, it might be an extra resource for you.
Okay. Now, with that being said, assuming that IMI would still be generous to the Fayette County Cemetery Commission in providing materials for the cemetery preservation, such as sand and gravel, we would appreciate the generosity of the County Highway Department to deliver the material to a location that we can access it for the leveling of the stones. You know, we don't have the dump trucks or whatever, and we just, if we could ask for the help in just
You're probably talking
delivering
about
it.
pickup load and stuff, isn't it?
If, yes,
Right.
yes, and, you know,
Sand and gravel, is that what you said?
and also, just to make clear too, that Dave and Cindy Nichols have purchased materials and tools that are their personal items, and they'll be using those working on preserving our pioneer cemeteries. I think at one time it got mentioned that it was, they bought it for Fayette County, so I think we just should make that clear. And something else that has come up to our, like we said, we got volunteers and we got people that's willing to volunteer physically and if not monetarily, and equipment. And which comes up in this is just a fund allocation form, because we have 3 individuals that want to donate money, but they want to donate it to a certain cemetery, such as a family cemetery. Now, how do we go about doing that? You know,
That's outlined.
Ask Mr. Bryce.
if there's a certain, you know, they want it to go to a certain cemetery. They want those funds to be used on a certain cemetery, instead of just going into a Fayette County fund where, you know, I don't know, I'm lost on that, so.
Yeah, I don't have a quick answer for you either on that one.
I
So-
know when I was sheriff, we had donations made for certain things from the outside. What we had to do was create a specific line item in that category, in that 100s, 200, not 100s, but 200s, 300s, whatever, that was specific for that. Is that how it's done, Debbie, or?
Well, you could actually create a separate donation fund, I guess, just for a certain cemetery.
Well, AJ can research that for us.
And then, yeah, I think it would have to be done by resolution, wouldn't it, AJ?
I would think something that, or, I want to say there's something quick and efficient
I
that you could do.
I think it's just like the animal shelter has a donation fund, and then it doesn't go into county general where animal shelter's paid out of. It comes from a separate donation fund. Emergency management has a separate donation fund.
So you
Those
actually,
donation funds can be set up, and I don't know whether they have to be done by resolution or not, or whether I can just do that.
do you have actual people that said they're going to donate money?
And we
Well, we
just
wouldn't
comprise
send it
that
to the
for
money
a visual on, maybe that's what we can do, and it could be a simple little form like this, broke
Well,
down,
AJ
I don't know,
can
you know,
tell
the
us
auditor.
next
And then,
week.
of course, if that money is allocated to certain cemetery or something, of course, we come to you and ask you, you know, we want to spend this money for this on a certain cemetery, and ask for your blessing on that. But that's all I have, and I appreciate you guys being, you know,
All right,
listening.
we'll see you next
Appreciate it.
month.
Thank
I
you.
have one question. If we're going to use the storage building, are there shelves or anything in there? Because, I mean, we can't just go in and throw the tools down on the floor. Is there somewhere we can store them? When we talked with Mr. Urban, he had offered some of the surplus. There were some cabinets that we had picked out for your approval to put our tools in, some shelving for tools. Is there any possibility that we could get those items approved off, you know, not the office part, but the ones for using to store tools, like the cabinets and the drawers and the shelving to, you know, to put your tools on? I mean, we've got to have some way to organize it, so when we go in, we know
Well, we'll
what's
have to
in.
look there and see what's, I've never been in it. I haven't been in that shed for a while. We'll have to go in and see.
Ask us at the next meeting, okay? Someone will go up and look at the shed and see what's what, and then we can work forward from there.
Because we gotta be able to organize it so you can go in and find what you need. We're not gonna have electricity to see, so you gotta know where things are.
In other words, you don't want to look like my desk at work. Is that what you're telling me?
I haven't
Is
seen
that
your
what you're
desk.
telling me? Huh? Is that what you're telling me?
I haven't seen your desk, sir.
No, you can't. That's the point.
Is that about covered for today? Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
are we ready to move on to payroll claims, et cetera?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the claims as presented by the very capable Mrs. Kidd.
Second,
motion.
sorry.
Been moved to second, accept payroll and the claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Patrons concerned, we're about out of patrons, so I guess not. This time I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.